panel going then.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you, Jeff.
No, I got a sore throat right now. Hang on. Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Welcome to the very blue Tim show tonight.
Blue, huh?
So yeah, well, Nick, I got your message when you said how are we going with this or whatever it is that you said with it. So it's pretty much Tim. So
That answers that.
yeah, well,
Only one way to go.
Yeah, we've met Nick and Jenny before, but Tom, you're new to the show and to the panel. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the Mark's books and things like that?
So, funny story. Years ago, I was really into horror. Right around the time like True Blood came out, and I didn't know it was a series, and started reading some of the books, and Kindle will recommend, Audible will recommend, you might like, and I stumbled into a couple of series that were vampires and zombies adjacent, and when I realized after a few books that they were like romance novels. It was basically was vampire porn that was in the romance section at Barnes and Noble, but through those suggestions, Mark's books came up, and I started on Zombie Fallout 1, great reviews, and I ripped right through the books and have been keeping up on the new releases as they pop up.
Mhm.
Strictly Audible. I've never read one. I couldn't tell you how to spell Deneau, but I love the voices on it.
I think there's an X at the end of Deneau's name.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, I think it's French.
Yeah, it sounds it. So I mean, she's a bitch either way. So I guess
Definitely.
I would love to see Deneau show up in a Tim story.
What a cross that would be.
Yeah, that would be.
Who's a
fun.
bigger monster?
Yeah, no shit, right? So just full disclaimers for anybody listening or watching this is this will not be a PG-13 show, and there will be spoilers galore. So if you haven't read Tim 1, 2, or 3, or for that matter, Zombie Fallout 3.5, Hugh Mann's, it's Nick's gone. Nick. That happened last time too with Nick. That is pretty much those 4 stories all intersect, and it kind of leads into what happens with how Tim is conscious and is a talking zombie. So let's wait for Nick to get back in here before we get into things.
But don't forget, he also doesn't he also shows up in a Demon Fallout.
He does show up in Demon Fallout, which some people haven't read all of the Tim books yet. Yeah, the end of 3 kind of is the beginning of his going down to the demon world. So you back, Nick?
Have you read all the Tim books?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
I have. Yeah, I re-listened to them all this week. So are you back at the Academy, Nick? Is that crappy hotel Wi-Fi?
No, I actually started with my phone's Wi-Fi intentionally because of that, but for some reason it just booted me. So
Still do the same thing. Okay, so all right, so we're all here.
Yep.
So Tom, how many of the Tim books have you read or listened to?
I read all 3 of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I listened to all 3 of them. I found the series fantastic. It was definitely a different side to Mark's writing. Really unveiled that dark side. I think you talked about it a couple weeks back. His wife was wondering what he was doing getting up to that, but what a spin, what a different side of things.
Yeah, Tracy was giving him the side eye while proofreading the book a little bit.
I married that.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly. Is this what you really think of women? So, all right. So if you're So Tim starts off. Tim's a clown, and he works birthday parties. And anybody who's ever seen a clown at a birthday party, you know they're pretty scary. You got the whole John Wayne Gacy aspect of things. And like I said, this is going to be chock full of spoilers. Tim gets bit in the leg by a brat at the party and gets turned into a zombie. But he's not your regular, ordinary, slow shuffling zombie. He can think and he can talk and he can figure all this out. And you find out that Hugh Mann from Zombie Fallout 3.5, which is the virus that is inside the zombies, has taken over Tim, but Tim has still kept some of his consciousness and is interacting with Hugh. It's like an internal struggle, but it's an inner dialogue inside of Tim. So Tim can talk, but Hugh has to relinquish control of him with what's going on inside. I equate it to kind of Disney's Inside Out, where you have all the people inside of the body. I'm anger, I'm happy, I'm sadness, I'm joy, and they're all fighting for control over each other. And that's what's going on inside of Tim's body. So
I've never seen it.
You never
I
seen
guess
it?
I'll never picture that movie the same way again.
Especially anger. You know, Lewis Black kind of has that a little bit of a Tim-esqueness to him in that. So I could see Tom's face. You either got kids or nieces and nephews that have watched that, or you just like Disney movies as a grown-ass man. I'm not going to judge.
You know, I've never seen it. I think I got the gist of it, but I don't think that was ever on my kids' watch list.
Yeah, it's a typical. They did a show back in the 90s called Herman's Head, where it's, you know, everybody, all of your emotions inside are a different person. You know, you have anger, you have happy, you have sadness, you have joy, you have creativity. So inside of Tim's head, his subconsciousness is a different character. So you have Tim who's in there, but then you have Hugh, which is the virus, which causes the zombies to be what they are. So if you haven't read Zombie Fallout 3.5, it's definitely worth checking out, because I think it goes in, it's kind of Tim, you know, Zero, that one book go hand in hand with it.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that I've read the 3.5.
you should.
I don't know that ever popped up in my feed. I'm going to now.
Yeah, it's another short story. It's like Zero. It's an offshoot book that Mark did that explains what the virus is that makes the zombies. It's kind of crazy.
Yep, about its discovery, and it breaks down a lot of the how the Talbots even got involved with the entire Eliza storyline, and it gives a lot of backstory.
I'm telling you
Did
guys,
they
you're going to have
talk
to jog
about-
my memory on the third one.
On Tim 3 or?
Yeah.
Okay. We will do that. This whole show is dedicated Tim 1 through 3 today, kids. So we're getting into the meat and potatoes of it. What are we going to say, Tom?
That one since it first came out.
Yeah, so I'm curious. Do you think, and this was I don't want to say nagging at me through the series, but it's one bigger picture thing, because I love the microcosms that Mark does. But do you think that there are others out there that had that similar turnout? I mean, it can't just be him, right? Of all the billions of people that got infected, was one of them? Was he the only one, or did other people fight the virus similarly, maintain themselves to a bit?
All right, Tom, first off, don't ask better questions than the host, okay? You're making me look bad, all right? Because that was a really good starting off point. I'm like, all right, Tom's taking over the show here, kids. So I think there has to be, because as you go further into the Zombie Fallout series, the zombies kind of have consciousness where they learn how to open up doors and windows. And as they go later into the series, you realize that they're starting to become self-aware and they can do things besides just shuffle around and bang on doors. And going back to Tim and Hugh Mann, that's kind of where it all starts. Where is the zombie? It's the eternal question: is there still a piece of the person inside of the zombie, or are they totally gone?
They're
Yeah.
probably maybe just not as strong-willed as Tim was to be able to fight to keep part of that consciousness going.
Yeah, Tim was definitely a narcissistic asshole. So
Yeah,
if,
with
if
all the
it,
drugs he's done and things like that, it kind of makes you wonder if Mike ever got bit, if he would be stubborn enough to fight back.
probably, I'm going to go on a limb
That's
and
about
say
a guarantee.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If Mike ever became a zombie, I think he would take full control, and it would be a much different story because there are parts of the series with Tim that he can act and talk like a normal person and interact with other people to trick them into thinking that he's not a zombie, that he's a real person, and let them in their house or let them in the church or let them in the supermarket to get him going to where he needs to go to get to kill people, to eat people. I mean, he's a homicidal maniac that's also a zombie.
Yeah.
But you got his desire to just want to, kill people and go crazy. And then you got Hugh's desire to just eat. And Hugh's in the background just saying food, eat, eat, eat. And he gets mad if he eats something that's dead. You can't, apparently zombies are picky and you can't eat a dead person already. Who knew?
Other Hughes is what he'd keep saying.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I should have listened to it 3 times. So,
Well, I just listened to it last week and again this week to prepare for it. So
yeah.
it's pretty much as soon as I get back to my hotel room, I just study and listen to audiobooks.
I've been trying to cram.
So I did it last week. I started on last Wednesday. I started one again, it's a quick read. So I could do that in a day while I'm driving.
yeah.
I just finished 3 today. So 3 is very fresh in my mind.
Did you cover
Yeah.
the other 3 books Tim shows up in?
I did not. We're going to talk about those in another series, but I know that he's in
Okay.
Demon. What's the other one that he's in? I know he's in
Like
Demon
in Fallout 5
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't read
And
those in a
then-
while. Listened to those in a while.
and Devil's Desk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, Devil's Desk
Oh,
is
I
next week too.
forgot.
That's right. He's
Yeah.
in Devil's. I get him and Durgan confused because Sean uses the same dickhead voice for both characters, and they're very similar.
Yeah,
But according
very
to
much so.
but according to Mark, they're not brothers. They're just both assholes.
Yeah.
Mark just likes really big guys.
Yeah.
Makes
I
you
want to know
wonder.
who in Mark's life is Tim. He has to know somebody because everybody else is based on a real person in his life, pretty much. And I want to know if he has a big black friend or does he just want to have a big black friend, like BT,
He's always said he wished he did. So
Oh, okay. So there you go.
yeah.
I think you should be keeping a running list of questions the next time you get him on here as a guest.
Oh, I definitely, I didn't even tackle even close to the questions that I had for him. We kind of went us off on a tangent on, micro beers and weather and
It's easy
living
to
in
do with
Boston. Yeah. He's definitely, he's a talker. So, and he's got so much shit behind him that's very distracting. So
And I had a huge list of stuff.
looking at his stuff. So yeah. So first impressions of Tim. I wasn't going to read it, or I wasn't going to listen to it. I should say I'm all audible because I thought, hey, I'm not a big clown guy. I kind of looked at it and I went, all right, it's an It type of story. It's a psychotic clown that's killing people, blah, 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 blah. I read some of the reviews and a lot of people were saying that it's very dark. It's very evil. It's definitely different. But when you listen to it, it's not much different than the other stories. He's crazy. Yes. He has his misogynistic, rapist wit about him. He's a womanizer. He's an asshole.
He's Durgan.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've listened to Devil's Desk, you know what the character of Tim is. So listening to his standalone stories, it wasn't as bad as everybody made it out to be. I read one review and somebody's like, oh, he kills a 6-year-old kid. That was it for me. I couldn't handle that. I'm like, that's where you draw the line, killing a bratty kid. All the other shit that's going on in these other stories, that's, that was the catalyst. Oh my God. So yeah, I went into it thinking that this is going to be really dark. And it had its moments, but for the most part, he's just a misunderstood clown. Just trying to make his way in this world, being a zombie. That's
The
how
only
I
part
took
that
it.
pissed me off. The only part that pissed me off is when he killed the dog. I didn't care about anything else. He
So
killed the
yeah, you
dog.
can't kill kids and you can't do dogs. That's the way it is.
I mean,
So
kids are, yeah.
kids can be brats. So
A
Uh-huh.
little bit.
yeah. So Tom, what was your first impression? Did you want to listen to Tim? And what was your impression
Yeah.
after you read it?
Having spent so much time learning learning about the psyches of Mike, right? We spend a lot of time with Mike. We spend a lot of time in his head, several thousand pages at this point. But I don't see that angle with a lot of the other characters. I know he had the dog series. He wrote, kind of from the puppies angle, I think, with some of it. But just about anything Mark signs up to do, I'm pretty much going to give it a whirl. And he had me in the first few chapters. I thought he was a really fascinating character. I mean, clearly, like you said, he's an asshole. He's a rapist. He's a womanizer. Like, there's nothing redeemable about him. But you can see. I think we all know someone like him to that degree. Not the extreme violence parts, but you ever see people talk about how they would survive a zombie apocalypse, right? And everyone has their I would do this, I'd escape here. And the truth is the best thing you could probably do is put on a football helmet because 99% of the population's going down, and that's probably going to extend your life as a zombie. It'll make you harder to kill. I thought it was really interesting to see that. I hate to use a term, but that dichotomy, right? You get both of those mentalities in there, exactly like you all were talking about, and uh, the violence was cool, the storytelling was cool, the how he justifies things in his own mind. I really was interested just to see that whole thing take shape. I think the first book was the best of the three, but I think that was probably my favorite part was him learning to use a door, him putting himself in situations to be more successful and blend with Hugh Mann. And it was, yeah, actually really positive for me the first time. Entertaining. I'll say entertaining, not positive.
Jenny, what about you?
God, I don't know. It's
Did you want
I,
to when you go through the whole gambit of things? Was Tim on your list to listen
he
to or to
was
read? Okay.
absolutely, absolutely, and I hate clowns. I'm terrified of clowns, which tends to draw me more to clown things because I like being scared. I like being. I don't know. I'm weird, but so yeah. As soon as I seen that, I had to go. But unlike you, I was reading a lot of the reviews and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is I definitely got to do this. Thought about it, and then I was sitting there listening to it, and then I'm like, toilet humor. That is never been my thing. It's never been my thing, but somehow it just worked. It worked.
A lot of it's literal toilet humor because it answers the question, do zombies poop?
Yeah.
Where do they put all that excess food and human waste that comes out as waste? So
yeah.
I applaud
Yeah.
Mark for that because that was my big question was they eat all this stuff, but they're always losing weight. How do they have room to get all this? And then you get to the part where he's shitting out his dad. You're like, oh, okay, zombies poop. Here we go. Who knew?
You make a kid's book.
Yeah. So it's, you got fast zombies, slow zombies, zombies that, can open up doors, zombies that can think. And now we got zombies that can poop. So.
All right. I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy, but listening to it, Hugh, whenever he's talking, saying he's hungry, is it just me or does he sound like Homer Simpson?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that you say that. Hungry.
That just goes through my head every time I listen to it.
Yeah. But the thing is, what I don't understand, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, is that it's not Hugh in the third book. It's Manny or Many,
Mhm.
however you want to put it. Who the hell is that character? Because I've never heard Mark talk about any of those in any of those other stories. Are there different versions of Hugh in the virus, or does the
Many?
virus, yeah, or did
I
virus evolve into, I thought he said, I'm going by Sean's interpretations. I thought he said, I am many, and
Yeah,
Tim
he
calls
did.
him Manny.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No, you're not.
Okay,
I'm 99%
not for that
sure that's
reason.
what he said. And I I think it's just each one of the humanites are sentient.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get infected, there's probably one in particular that starts to replicate itself, and they're all on one sentient mind. I think it was just another, another set of or another humanite that wasn't as easily pushed around as the original one was. It could have evolved, because just like without the people with all the sentience, the viruses and parasites evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he just happened to get one that was the asshole of the humanites, like he is the asshole of humans.
True.
I
I
mean,
like that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. That just summed it all up.
It's just the impression I got. I never really thought about it until you just asked that. It's like,
Yeah.
they've got to be different sentient beings, um and that they got to start over. Or maybe it's because of where at the time when he's Manny, isn't he in he's in Yorley's body at the time, right?
Scarlet.
Scarlet?
He's hunting
Yeah,
Yorley. At the end of part 3 is basically a revenge story where he just
yeah.
wants to kill Yorley. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And Yorley doesn't come in until halfway, almost to
And,
the end
and
of the second
I
book.
think a good chunk, and I think partially the way the viruses are or the parasites, whatever. I know we've used both terms
Mm-hmm.
technically. Um, Feed off from I guess the original host, because I mean the first one, what you could say, was fat and lazy, like Tim wanted to be but never was. And then you got to the when he went over to Clarence's
Clarence.
body, he didn't have any of the memories of anything. So he had to reteach him everything and renegotiate with them. And then maybe since Scarlet had a predisposition of who Tim was before that all happened, maybe the virus was like, okay, this guy's a complete jackass and you can't trust him. So maybe it was more standoffish, feeding off from and using Scarlet's memories.
That sounds so. The different viruses inside different bodies interact with the body differently, and the virus evolves, which is what
Yeah,
viruses do. Because if you
yeah,
try
because
to kill a virus, it becomes, we get different strains of flu every year because the flu virus doesn't work. So now we got a better, different flu. You got to get this shot for which gives you the H1N1, which is how the whole zombie fallout series started.
I mean, we could also just say, no offense to Jenny, but the Manny wasn't a female, so
So that's why he
I
was
mean,
extra difficult.
I didn't say that. I just said he was different.
I'll take it.
Did
I'll
he got
take it.
He got a little moody on every 30 days,
But yeah, I mean,
did
it'd be nice to hear Mark's take on that as well, because I never really delved into the Manny being different,
Mm-hmm.
to that extent until you said that. I guess my brain just rode along with this is Tim's personality with the humanites. I never really divided up until you brought it up, the different
Yeah, I didn't
personalities of
either.
viruses.
I didn't either.
Look at that. I'm making people think. It's something I've never been
Yeah.
accused of before.
Quit it.
So, but I like that he only interacts with Mike and BT and Tracy once in the story, and it's at the very end of of the first book. Like I said, there's going to be spoilers galore. If you don't want to hear spoilers, don't listen to the show, but it might actually make you want to listen to the story now that you know that. But it brings up the point where you can't kill him, because all you got to do is bite somebody and you go into somebody else's body. The virus transfers from host to host, which is what happened, how he went from Tim, and then he went into Clarence, and then he went into Scarlet.
But technically, you could kill him if there was nobody around for them to transfer to.
Very true.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably once the brain starts to rot, because it. I don't.
How do you kill a psychotic zombie clown?
That just makes me wonder if that's not another route of why the zombies are getting so intelligent, is because maybe each one of the super intelligent zombies have dozens of personalities in them, dozens of people's minds working together in them.
Do you
Could it be like the Borg, and it's like a collective?
Yeah,
They're just
that, like what's his name from the Zombie Fallout series towards the end. I can't remember his name at the moment. The one that was shot, they said it was the bullets that did it. Well, maybe the bullets weakened the Dewey, yes.
Dewey.
Maybe
Dewey, screw him, and how?
Maybe the poison and the bullets weakened the zombies, and now that's making them so intelligent and more human-like and able to fight back.
Possibility. I mean, anything's possible with this, because it's all fictitious and it's made up, and it's whatever is
Mark.
in Mark's, wicked, bizarre mind that he can think of. So
twisted, depraved black hole of a mind that we all enjoy.
That we do for some strange reason. So, Tom, what are your thoughts?
Have you read other books or seen other stories that have some of that hive mentality? Because what jumps out with me, and I know I've seen similar in other works, but on one hand, you've got the zombies evolving, right? You've got your bulkers, your sprinters. And then I really like where Nick was going with it, talking about maybe not the different human personalities blending together, but almost like how many patient zeros are there? Maybe there really were a dozen or 2 dozen or 5 dozen and they become these different lines. I think the way he explained it, at least what the evolution was, they evolved, and they evolved very quickly based on what they need, right? They hit something with a high caliber bullet, so they develop thicker skulls. They outrun them, so they develop sprinters. It seems like there's something to that. There's got to be something with the collective conscience that's enabling them to do that. Like you said, it's all fictitious.
Which brings you to, that's a good point, though, because Hugh can fix Tim if he gets shot or if he gets stabbed or something happens to him. He's always, hey, buddy, you got to fix me. We got to get this going, except, he can't fix his Willie, which shrivels and falls off, which is karma. But so he can fix minor repairs. But it's funny that you get to the point in the story where, Tim's bitching at Hugh about something, and Hugh is like, stop getting shot or stop getting hurt. It's like, there's only so much I can do. Knock it off. And Manny is
I think it was with the broken ankle.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of that scene in Liar Liar where Jim Carrey's talking to the guy, and his secretary says, so-and-so is on the phone. He just robbed the bank, wants to know what to do. And he picks up the phone. He's like, stop breaking the law, asshole. I had that moment in my head where he was like, stop getting yourself hurt. What the hell are you doing?
There's a couple times where he hurts himself on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that could be why you got the bulkers with the tough skulls because the viruses inside were becoming self-aware. I believe the zombies were, and they were being able, in an attempt to protect themselves, viruses evolve, like the flu virus, like I said, evolves every year. The viruses inside, the Hugh viruses inside the zombies are evolving, making them, run faster, climb things, open up doors, all the stuff that we saw them start to do in the later books.
With all the abilities.
I wonder if Mark knows all this.
I doubt Mark doesn't seem that bright to me. No, I'm kidding. He's just making it all up as he goes. I'm sure. No, he's probably got some grand plan at the end of it. I'm sure. So.
Oh, there's been, when I could talk to him in Salem, there was a couple things that I tried talking to him about before we got talking about IPAs and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That he was like, no, I never put that much thought into it, but that makes sense. She's like, I wish my brain worked like that. Where he can take something that he thinks is a good idea and doesn't overthink it to death and just runs with it, and it turns into something brilliant like what we have, Timothy, Zombie Fallout, Devil's Desk, all of those books. It's like I spend time poking holes in them, and he just runs with it and makes it entertaining.
Yeah. Has anybody ever written a story or done anything like that? Like when you're doing something, it's one thing, it turns into one thing. And then it's kind of like the course of a conversation where you start with one thing, you think you're going to go to a certain place, but during the natural course of things, one thing turns into something different. And then I'm sure he's painted himself into a corner more than once with some of these stories saying, crap, how do I get myself out of this one? Or what do I do with this? And I think there was a lot of instances in Tim where that happened.
Well, yeah, at the end of it was a prime example of it.
Mm-hmm.
He still just to this day says that was it was in a different universe thing, because everybody tries to always plug him in universe, but at no time is Mike, Tracy, and BT in California in the entire Zombie Fallout series. But Tim's in California when he gets shot at the end of Tim 1.
That's right. He's in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. And they never went to.
Was California. Tim? Was he traveling? Was he in the car?
The whole thing was shortly after he got out of the house.
That's right.
Because when he originally wrote Timothy, it was for one of those like charity short story books where everybody can't think of some of them that he's done, where it's a bunch of different authors putting in short stories together to raise money for something.
Yeah.
That's what Timothy originally was. So it wasn't meant to be a whole another universe or another branch off, but people loved it, us crazy sick people like us, and he was like, okay, let's continue the story then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he said a couple times that the end of Timothy, he messed up, with having Mike, Tracy, and BT in there because they were in the wrong city at the wrong time, and he explains it with, it's technically a different storyline. Okay, we've done it 7 other times. Why can't we go with it with this?
Very true.
It's a storyline that hasn't happened yet. Just give it time.
Is it the fat BT from Shrouded World?
I mean, it could be. He just said that he's seen a black man that rivals him in his size, is all he says. He didn't say if he was fat or not.
That is true. You never know. I mean, there is the whole Triptyverse that brings it all together with everything. So
that makes my head hurt.
You don't want to be on the Shrouded World panel, because that's going to be a trip.
Yeah, that one.
Literally.
I've only been able to go through it once, and like I said, I had to re-listen to, I think, when they first get to the facility, like 5 times to even understand what was going on. I remember
that's one of my favorites.
Shrouded
we brought
World?
it up on the last show.
Yes.
That's something that you can't just listen to the first couple times in the background like you can the other books. It's like, holy crap, what I miss.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. Definitely got to pay attention to it. So one of the other places where the whole timeline kind of goes askew as well is when Tim runs into Remy and Grant, and they got the vials of blood. They have Eliza's vials of blood around their neck, where they're getting this. They're getting the zombies into the truck to take out to when they go to whatever the hell they were going with the dock and the base. That whole they kind of intersect in there as well. So that's in a different city. But what city was that they were all in? I think it was Zombie Fallout. Is it 4 or 5 where they meet Doc in Pork Chop and they're on the base and they bring in the huge dump trucks and the tractor trailers?
They were by the Great Lakes.
9900s. They were outside of Chicago, the naval base up there by Chicago.
Okay, so they were up. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember they were talking about, Lake Michigan being right there. And I was like, hey, that's straight across the lake from me. So,
so it's a whole other timeline. It's similar in the whole thing, but a different timeline with the same characters where those guys were there. Because I remember Remy, I don't remember Grant at all, but I remember Remy from Zombie Fallout, where they were trying to get the zombies in the tractor trailers and get them in the trucks and having the people as the bait, getting the zombies in the trucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean, Mark is definitely excellent at what he does, but he's also good at, Book of Riley and Shrouded World and Timothy are separate timelines, but then poof, they're all intersecting. Like you said, it intersects at the beginning or the end of book 1, then he intersects with Remy, and then with Shrouded World, all of a sudden in later books after it was supposed to split off, he's having memories of Calendar and the Whistlers and Trips just over there winking at him and whistling, and it's just like, okay, he's starting to bleed all of these together. I mean, look when he brings in Thorn Grip into the later books in Zombie Fallout.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh yeah,
The bear from Book of Riley.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't read Book of Riley yet. That's the one
okay.
series I haven't gone through yet.
Well, it starts at one point. You remember the big bear, right? That saves Mike.
I do.
The bear or a bear dog? I remember Bear Dog from
the
Indian Hill.
bear, the one that was eating cereal and got into fights over the cereal with Trip.
No, I don't.
Oh, well, that's in Zombie Fallout, and that's all based off from Book of Riley.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm only on. I'm physically reading Book of Riley, so that's obviously going to take a lot of time.
Well, you're a busy man.
I read slowly as well. So
anyway, back to Tim. Yeah, he you were talking about earlier hesitating. I wasn't going to read Tim.
Yep.
Just based off of some of the reviews, and even Mark told me, if you got a strong stomach and you don't care about that type of stuff, go ahead and read it. But if you don't care for that stuff, don't read it. I wasn't going to, but then once I read enough of Mark's stuff, I was like, screw it, I'm going to try it. And yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, very much so, but it made me start questioning my sanity, the fact that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
What are we going to say?
Where does it fall for you all in terms of your normal reading, or in terms of other books that you've read? And exactly how you kicked off the episode, talking about how it's extremely violent. The reviews are, well, this was enough for me. Have you read stuff that's further along the deranged scale than this?
Is there
one book? Yes.
In Mark's books or any other?
No, just in general.
I mean, if you look at it in terms of something like that, it's like it. It's a psychotic clown. You get kids that are killing each other, kids that are getting killed, and I think that's where a lot of people, like we said, draw the line with dogs and kids. And
don't forget about it. The kids, the preteen kids having an orgy and stuff too. So.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, that book was pretty twisted.
I think it was one of those, Stephen King in his cocaine days where he probably doesn't even remember writing it. He said that about Maximum Overdrive. He wrote some books. Like, I didn't remember writing that. He was just so frigging blasted at the time. But it's, I forgot what were we talking about. What was the
Just
topic?
where it falls on the spectrum for you.
Oh, for horror. But if you read horror or you watch horror, I mean, yeah, kids are gonna die, dogs are gonna die, animals are gonna die. It's a natural fact of everything. But I think right now we live in such a society where everything is taboo and we have to be focused on everybody's feelings, and you can't do that. And I think, I don't know when this was written. I don't remember the copyright dates, but I think Mark just kind of took that and went, I'm throwing the playbook out. I'm killing fucking everybody. You know, everybody's going to die. Everybody's going to get killed. Everybody's going to get shit on. Some stuff's going to happen and you're not going to like it. And that's too bad. I wrote this book on a dare, pretty much, because his publicist said, whatever you write, I will publish it. And Mark went, really?
Really? Let's test those lines.
I'm going to horrify my wife one night, and I'm going to rewrite this story.
When it comes to the toilet humor, there's a book by S.W. Salzman, or he narrates it. I don't know if he writes it or not, called Flushed. That's pretty much 100% diarrhea toilet humor. And then you've always got Javon Bonds' series with the constant shitting blue zombies. So that toilet humor wise, I'd already. But
how do you like the Javon Bonds books? I've seen them. I haven't read them.
Can you spell Javon Bond? Because I don't even know what that is.
Javanbonds. He is actually a young blind author. His mom and his brother and dad really help him with his books. It's very reminiscent of Mark's books. There's some people who say he ripped off Mark's style because it's written very much in a diary type format, and there's a lot of sarcastic racial humor between him and a short, fat black guy who's the main character's best friend. They're pretty good. I help him. I beta listen to his audiobooks and stuff too. To find mistakes or continuity errors, and then I submit it back to him and say, "Hey, you messed this up." Because Eric A. Shellman, who's actually a good friend of mine as well, author and narrator, does them, and I do a lot of his books. So, but they're pretty good. I mean, I don't like disparaging anybody, but they're not on Mark's level. But he's still young. So, I mean,
I would check it out.
One of the things that I love to your comment on kind of how Mark does the different stories, and Nick and Jeff, I think you both talked to this a little bit. It's so hard to do that world building, right? Because it's really what it is, and it's not something you'll hear a lot of people talk about, but it is really similar to a Marvel universe almost, with there's different realities and quantum realms, and it's different certainly, but structurally it's similar with the different realities. And I've never interacted with Mark face to face or podcast or anything, but I did hit him up on Instagram one day, and he seems to be really good about responding if you bug him enough times. And
yeah, he's good about that with getting back to people.
Yeah, but to what Nick said about just being able to bounce back, I write a book, I forget about it. I'm not worried. I don't remember the particulars from 15 books ago. The thing that jumped out at me, and it was right around the time I was with them, was the whole Tommy ending the Tommy storyline initially, right? When they're down in hell, and I don't even remember which spinoff it was, but I remember being bothered by the thought that he was a bad guy the whole time.
You meant Fallout when he was in the lava flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But when I asked Mark about it, he was like, I'm walking it back. I'm doing a different spin on it. Like, that was not a popular part. Okay, cool. Like, respect the genius. I'm along for the ride.
Tommy's a dick.
I agree. I think it really was him the whole time, but Made me wonder if Ganlin was Tommy all to begin with, in a way, a personality of Ganlin or something like that, or Tommy ripped out of another timeline. But that's a whole other series.
Yeah.
The whole other show too.
Yeah.
No, but not. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to just say you don't see too many of the other characters in bringing it back to Tim aren't really in Tim, with the exception of the original three. You Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman at the end of Tim 1, that take Tim out. You don't really get the Trinity in the other books besides the kind of the minor players.
Remy and what's his name, and
Grant, yeah.
And they bring up Eliza, obviously, but
you could do so many different things in that world. You could bounce around out of the microcosms to see other people's experiences. And I thought it was fantastic when Mark decided to take this angle. This was such a ballsy decision to say, exactly, I did it on a dare. I'm going to write the most fucked up thing that I can possibly think of, and I'm going to put it out there. And he certainly it seemed so out of character from what I've been reading up to that. But what a courageous decision of sorts, and to think that it had life beyond past book one. He probably could have wrapped it up, because it was not a happy ending for Tim in book one. And Easy, he finds his way out like he does with anything else when he writes himself into a corner. But I thought it was from a sheerly talented perspective, from a sheer return on the quality of his writing. Legit, I think it's one of his top books. Tim 1, maybe not 2 and 3, but I thought the actual writing was entertaining in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that audience is ever going to be bigger. I don't think people are going to be clamoring for Tim 4 over Zombie Fallout 22, but I think it showed Mark's talent as a writer to be able to go outside of just this lane.
He needs to bring Tim into the Indian Hill series and give me book 8, but I'll keep protesting that until the day I die. So. But yeah, that's a whole
bring
nother
Indian Hill
protest.
back.
Indian Hill is the aliens piece, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only series I never delved into. I did all the werewolves. I did the demon fallouts. I love the Tim series. The zombie, obviously, I'm waiting for the next one with everybody else. The Indian Hill one was not. I don't know. I don't get excited by the alien side, the sci-fi side of things.
Me either.
I didn't either, but when you bring in BT and Jababan in book 2 and 3, it's amazing. The whole series around. That's when it really starts to go, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah, get past book 1 and you'll really love Indian. Indian Hill is my favorite series.
Me too.
It's my favorite series, definitely.
Some of the biggest pictures on my poster.
Yep. And there's actually a part in bringing it back to Tim again where Scarlet, I have my notes here, and I do speech text while I listen to the book and I talk into my phone during speech text. This is what I wrote, and I'm going to try to decipher it, what exactly this means. Scarlet is shot in drugs at an army base by a text internist, comments to her that he has seen some strange shit, even a large crocodile looking thing. So out of all of that, I just wanted to get large crocodile thing, meaning was that a Genogerian or a Pagerian, kind of in that timeline that Scarlet was talking about in one of the stories. I don't know what the hell the rest of it was. Obviously, my truck's loud when I drive, and speech text didn't pick stuff up the whole way.
Oh, Mark does that all the time. He said something almost identical in Devil's Desk when BT was bitching about all of Mark's stories.
Really? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we might actually get a chance to ask Mark what the hell. Oh, there's his nostrils.
There's the man.
Hey.
Hey, man.
What's
The
up,
nostril
Johnny?
cam.
Come lately? Yeah, nostril cam.
I just want you to know, Jeff, I bought a freaking I bought a damn PC camera because of you.
Oh, thank you.
I've been thinking about it too. So
I always wondered. I'm like, what the hell is he looking at when he does his videos? His camera's like over here, and he's looking over here. What is he? What does he have it on his phone and he's looking at his computer? Like, how did you have that set up?
It's an iPad. I'm using the iPad right now because
Okay.
I just started using the camera and I realized I was late and I didn't want to miss it completely, so I didn't want to screw around.
Well, they appreciate it. Well, Tom was just saying he's never actually interacted with you or talked with you. So this is like Christmas time for Tom. Tom, this is Mark. Mark, this is Tom.
Hey, man.
I would-
It's honor to meet you.
You as well, Tom. I'd say you were lucky you didn't get to interact with me, but to each their own.
he's awesome. I've met him, love him. I always
you.
brag about he's my favorite Marine.
So
Just buy him a couple of bears.
there you go.
Yep.
So, all right. So now that we have Mark here, what were some of the questions we had about Tim
Oh
that
God.
you guys
I
wanted
think
to ask?
Your first one was, who is he based on, right?
Yeah.
Is Tim based? Because a lot of your characters are based on somebody that you know, kind of in your life. Who is the Tim in your life?
Thank God, I can honestly say absolutely no one. I was just I think it was, I'm not sure where I do it on every interview when they ask about Tim, but I that was just reaching down in the deep dark recesses of my mind and pulling him out of there, which I guess is kind of scary when you dwell on it too much. Which
We'll
I
just
don't.
blame it on the Molson Canadian with a little bit of green stuff, and you were probably mainlining Moxie at the same time. Is the only thing I can think of.
That'll do it.
No,
I mean,
he had to have been dabbing on that one.
I don't touch that
Just a
dabbing
little.
stuff. Scares the hell out of me, man.
Say, did they have it when you released that? When was that? When did you release Tim originally?
Wasn't that 2016, 2014, 2012, 20? Yeah, it was
You say
actually a
like-
dare. I wrote that book on kind of a dare. So
Wasn't it part of like a collaborative thing where there was a bunch of short stories, or am I mixing that up with a different?
no, that was a book of Riley. I'll give you the
okay,
short.
that's right.
Yeah, I'll give you the short of it. A publisher came to me and wanted the Zombie Fallout series, and check wasn't going to be big enough. So I was like, no, it's great trying to do business. I appreciate it, all that. They literally came back the next day and they said, we'll take any title you give us. I was like, wait a sec. Hold one. I like to rethink about this. I was like, you'll take any book I offer? And they're like, yep. And
Hold my
3 days
beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. So 3 days is one of those F around and find outs. So 3 days later, I came up with Tim and I wrote a novella.
Did they regret it saying that to you? Or were they like, holy crap, this is gold?
No, they were thrilled. They were great to work with, too. I'm trying to remember the name, but Permuted Press. They were really cool about it. And then there's all the crazy people that actually like Tim, and that's why we got Tim 2 and 3. And why he pops up in all the different stories now, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So my question, we talked a little bit about the timeline, and Nick was giving us at the end of Tim 1, he runs into Mike, BT, and Tracy, but they're in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Mike, BT, and Tracy were never in San Francisco.
No. See, that's Tim was never really supposed to do anything. And that's like, it all goes back to, I never really thought people were going to be reading my books, so I thought it was a cool little piece to add in at the end. Had I to do it over, I would have been more ambiguous with names and stuff like that. But I'm not sad I did it.
Hey, you know what? It didn't wreck the story. It's just like, okay, maybe it's a split off from the timeline, since Trip likes to punch so many holes in it.
Well, yeah, because I've even alluded to that, and like when Tim meets back up with Mike in Demon Fallout, and Tim starts, "Your wife killed me," and Mike's like, "I don't know what you're talking about," So
We've never been to California, Tim.
yeah, no,
I mean, up until Nick just threw in his told us all that, I never even occurred to me that they were in San Francisco. So you kind of ruined that for me, Nick. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Hey, I told you, you're the one that compared me to that crazy person that held the author hostage. I told you I'm a huge Mark fan, so
Way to
I've
go.
listened to the books enough to see a lot of those things.
Yeah, I think you got to consult with Nick on continuity because he seems to have everything down packed.
it's this. Thank you, Nick, but there are a lot of folks that like, hey, do you remember that? Book 6, chapter 12, line 7, when you said this, I'm like,
No.
I have no friggin' idea. I
Like,
couldn't even begin to tell you. You tell me. Let's talk about it.
It was 2 a.m. when I wrote that. I was exhausted.
to say, I don't think he has an eidetic memory, but we can go for it.
Mhm.
No, I wish. No, I don't. There's a lot of things I'm glad I forgot. So we'll go with that.
I'm gonna say,
Mark,
I don't
I'm-
think your stories would be the same if you did.
That's true.
What were we going to say, Tom?
Yeah, so I'm curious, with that, with building such a big universe out, how many of the Easter eggs that you put in there are intentional versus how many of the rabid fans like us pick them up and circle back to you, and you just say that, I know you talk about, well, do you remember when you wrote this line? But do you ever find Easter eggs that someone else found that you didn't mean to draw?
The vast majority I do on do. Yes, I'm technically 11 years old. A vast majority are on purpose, but yeah, there are ones that like they're just lucky happenstance. Folks find them. I'm like, oh, hey, that fits. Yep, I definitely meant that. So.
So, question I had for you, Mr. Mark, is in Tim 1 and 2, Tim is possessed by Hugh. Hugh is the virus from Hugh Mann's. We were talking about that in Zombie 3.5. He's the virus inside of Tim's body and then Clarence's body. But in book 3, he's inside of Scarlet and he's been inside Manny, or Manny as Tim likes to call it. Is that what was that virus, or what was that character line all about?
Well, yeah, as you can follow in the zombie Fallout universe, the virus is constantly mutating, and that's just another effect, of how the virus is interacting with Tim, who is obviously conscious within his own depraved mind.
And why was Tim worthy of being him being conscious when others weren't?
Because I cashed the check from the publisher.
Good.
I was just go with he's just too nasty to die. He's just such an a-hole. That like nothing little like a zombie virus is going to be able to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure he wasn't born in Colorado?
And one of the other questions we had was if the roles were reversed and it was Mike that got bit by a zombie, would Mike be able to keep his consciousness like Tim did?
I think it would have to depend on, are we talking like pre-Tommy bite or post-Tommy bite? It would be hard to fit it into the story pre-post. I think it would be easy enough. I could have finagled that. I always I try my best not to have, I can't remember what they call it, but whenever you're in a bad situation, characters in a bad situation, and like the unthinkable just happens, like all of a sudden they were smacked on the top of their head with a micrometeor and you're like, yeah, we win the day. I don't like to having those cheap outs,
Yeah. Okay. And also we were talking a little bit about in Tim 3, where there's 3 people now, or 2 people and a virus. inside of one body. What brought that about? What made you go?
Just I couldn't think of a bigger nightmare scenario than having not only maybe we've all heard about people trapped in their own mind because we would injuries or stuff, but to have 3 people trapped in one head and nobody can really do anything, would have been just, I don't know. To me, I'm claustrophobic. That was that was scary for me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're all female, right, Nick?
Maybe. But yeah, I could see, Tim being the misogynistic asshole womanizer he is, now being trapped in a tiny demure woman's body.
Yeah, he wasn't overly thrilled about that either.
No.
He was so thrilled that he tried to sew a penis on, which epically failed miserably.
Oh,
it could work.
Yeah.
Good God, I forgot about that.
Me too. Me friggin' too.
It's such a short little blip in there.
Yeah. Well, aren't y'all glad I did my homework this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
scene
probably would have remembered that too if it wasn't for all this stuff.
I think it was Tim 3, when he finds the morbidly obese guy. Is that 2 or 3? And then is just snacking away, that's the scene that I kind of remember the most.
3.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's 3 when he's in the guy's house. So
yeah.
But his mind goes, that's when you do the flashback scenes. When, Manny or Hugh are going to town on a body, Tim's like, all right, now that we got 20 minutes, let me tell you about something that happened in my past.
Which that was awesome how you fit those in there.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. Out of all the gross ass things Tim did as a zombie, the one that people get back to me the most about was when he was a normal person. Are we doing spoilers here? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Big time spoilers.
All right. When he was a normal human, he was back in college and he hucked a loogie in someone's beer and made them drink it. Like, that's the scene that people hate the most. It's like, dude, he's eating somebody alive, and that's the one, so it's funny.
Yeah,
that's
one
thing. More.
coupled with the guy's neck he broke and how it just flopped backwards.
Oh God, yeah. Like he's looking up at the sky.
It's not my fault his brother was in the hospital. Wait. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy what people focus on, like the negative parts that people focus on in the story. Like, that's where you draw the line.
Dog.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah, Jenny doesn't like that he threw the dog against the window.
No,
and you being a dog person.
No dogs were harmed in the writing of that story. I should have let off with that.
I was surprised by that part because you're such a dog person. I wouldn't think that you would actually have a story line where the dog gets brutally killed like that. Even Chloe's not happy about that.
Yeah, this one's Holly. Chloe's
that's Holly?
Yeah. I guess just to show how bad Tim is, I guess, like we needed another example.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and honestly, if I had thrown a cat, if Tim had thrown a cat, I would have had all the people like, I knew he hated cats. I knew it, so I didn't want to give anybody any more ammunition.
Well, what was that? Was it Netflix that had the don't
would have
fuck
had more
with
people
cats?
sympathizing with them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, I was just saying, I think it was like Netflix series or something was that Don't Fuck with Cats TV series that they had, where the kid put a cat in a Ziploc bag and he videoed it dying. And he posted it on the internet. And the whole world went crazy trying to figure out where this kid was and how to arrest him. And they made a whole documentary about it. It's sad, but I never watched the end of it because I just, for some reason, I just never finished it. So I don't know if they caught the kid or not. But I mean, they were looking at the background of his room, and outside the window, I think I see something that looks like could be this, just trying to figure out who this sick little bastard was. And if it was a real cat or was it all staged?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Don't Fuck with Cats is the name of the documentary.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of cats, but I wouldn't do that. No way.
No, I'm not going to watch that right now. Animal cruelty really, it bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could deal with the depraved crap most any of my inmates do, or I'm going to be working with, except for animal stuff and then kids. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm. So is Tim going to show up in any of the newer stories? Is he in like in 6, 7? What do we decide that?
6. No. I think
Six?
Tracy told me it's 6, and he is in it. Right? I'm in the middle of editing one book and writing 2. I get paths crossed sometimes.
I noticed you finally announced the fantasy book that you talked about in Salem.
I know, man. Jay, it was creepy. You know, I opened up the file. I had to like break dust off of it. It was like, holy crap, ridiculous.
But yeah, is he in that one too?
He will be. Not yet. Yeah.
Now that
Not
you
yet.
mentioned it, yeah.
Yes. I like Tim. Tim, when I can tone him down and fit him into a less gory horror, I find him hilarious in a way. You know,
he's
just
an unfiltered Durgan.
He's so out of touch. You know, he's socially out of touch. He just can't even operate correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, question for you:
Yes.
Tim losing the eyeball in the Tim series, and Tim losing both of his eyeballs in Demon, was that intentional, or did it just happen?
Do you want it to be intentional?
Then yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
Good answer.
Sure,
Good
it was.
I'm probably gonna say no, but I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote it, so maybe. No, I gotta go no. I'll say no. I'll take one for the team.
There you go.
All right.
Where do you rank Tim, the Tim series in the books that you've written?
Oh boy, that's hard. I'm looking. I'm sorry. I got like a wall of all my books here. I'm trying to figure out where I would. Oh well, Indian Hill's my baby. Zombie Fallout has changed the trajectory of my life. I really enjoy my one-offs. Like, you want a number? What am I shooting for here? I'd say how about middle of the pack? Because there's some that I'm like, but we won't go into that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I do like Tim, so we'll say upper third. How's that?
Third in all of your series?
Upper third.
Is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Like I said, I said before you joined, that it's not as bad as everybody made it out to be. When you read some of the reviews and people are upset that, you know, you killed a 6-year-old, or, you know, something happened in one of the stories, like, oh, no, I can't read this. Something bad happens. Like it's fictitious. So kind of, I'm sure there are sicker people out there in the real world, but it's a different take on. I like it because it interacts with the Hugh story. So I was telling everybody, you got to read 3.5 in the Zombie Fallout series because you understand who Hugh is, and it gives it a different story arc versus for what Hugh is, what he's really doing inside after everything happens. Like, this is how the zombies learn to open up doors, and they can roll down windows, and, you know, they can do things like that. This is why they can do it. It explains more why how they evolve, how the zombies are evolving. Was
Even
that
if it wasn't
intentional?
intentional.
Yes. I'm taking this one. I'm taking this one.
All right.
Yeah. Frick, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, Tim, it's funny because the Hugh Mann story was actually a short that was not in my head, was not originally part of the Zombie Fallout universe. And then I was like, wow, if I tweak a couple things, it fits perfectly right in there, dovetail. So that's why I wrote that story and then tossed it in there. And then there we go. And Tim is not Lord knows there is some extreme horror out there. I don't consider Tim to be that, but when you look at like zombie fallout, I wouldn't say it's family friendly. Maybe you go PG-13, and Tim might be an R, and then some of the stuff you can read is like X. Like I don't want anything to do with it, but to each their own again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. It wasn't as bad as I think people should read it. If people are listening or watching this, definitely put Tim in your list of books to read because it intersects with the other stories, and it's a good story. You do go a little. You have the Tim, not Talbot-sodes, but it's like Timisodes when Tim's where Manny's eating somebody and Tim's like, let me tell you a story about how I banged this chick or I broke this guy's neck or I was in a bar. And you're like, all right, he's going off on a tangent here. Here we go. Like, what was Mark thinking that night when he wrote that? Guy cut him off in traffic and he's pissed, So, but it's definitely entertaining.
I love what Mark was saying with the extreme horror and I always find it really interesting to say, well, how is this popping up in your algorithm? If this bothers you, how is this popping up in your you may also like? And I've read a lot of the Black Label Extreme, and one of my favorite guys wrote to the initial point with the animals. He said of all the terrible things he's written, he has one scene in a book at an end where he's harmful to dogs. And he has worst things you could possibly read, but this particular thing, he chose to put a warning on the front of the chapter saying, I've gotten more blowback on this than anything else I've done, which is why it's so interesting to hear like, oh, it's the 6-year-old. You see all the crazy shit we see on television in real life, but you harm an animal in a book, and that's, way more people.
Do you talk about Matt Shaw?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. In terms of animals, all you folks have read Zombie Fallout.
Yeah.
What's that? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
new?
Few times.
Yeah. Brand new.
Okay. New. I'll check it
Out
out.
of all the
Who wrote
characters,
it?
I don't know, some crazy ass. Out of all the characters that have died in the span of 20 books, I still get the most blowback from Bear in book 1. He was in the book for like 2 paragraphs, and I am still catching crap for that. My mistake.
That was a bit upsetting. It was upsetting, but it's the zombie apocalypse, for God's sakes.
I'm telling you right now, if I write Zombie Fallout 100, you will never see another dog pass in that series.
Did kill the Dalmatian.
Yeah, they didn't care about the necrophiliac in the basement, raping the zombie, but the dog bear getting killed is what people had an issue with.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a mercy killing after Bear had to see that, though.
Yeah.
Or hear that, I should say.
A dog definitely needed some therapy after that.
Mm-hmm.
I needed some therapy after
that. Yeah. And again, like you were talking about the extreme horror and stuff, if you can do things like Saw or Hostel or...
Oh, I love both of those.
If you can do things of that nature, the violence and gore part of Tim is nothing.
Yeah.
Then it's got the, toilet humor on top of it. But again, I'm sure you heard worse than that crap in high school.
I think a lot of folks, their threshold might be the Zombie Fallout world. And then you ratchet it up a little bit with Tim, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna sit this one out, which is fine, 100% fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved Tim.
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
And I was hesitant, but I'm glad I took the plunge.
Would you continue the series, or is it kind of not being able to happen because of what happens in 3, where he goes down to hell, and now he's in the Lycan series?
Come on, man. Have you read my books? I can. Dead? Nah, that don't mean nothing.
He can bring Bear back.
Yeah.
Well, now that he's brought that up, where's 8?
Oh, Indian Hill 8.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nick is starting the change.org petition for Indian Hill 8.
it's
I want to
funny.
see him interact with Mike.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it percolates and everything. I've told Jeff before, man. I stuck that landing. I
You
ended
did.
that series as best as this guy could, and I would hate to open it back up and people be like, "Yeah, you should have just left it at 7." I was like, God, I knew
Well,
it. I knew it.
Learn
Make
from
another
George
branch
Lucas's
off like you did with
mistakes.
Lyco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do something you did with like and Fallout, where it's similar timeline but different. It's just that world I really like.
Yeah. I mean, and it was a fun world to write in, and unfortunately that series, it was, God, I was doing a freaking podcast like this, and the host asked me, "So what do you got going on now?" And at that point, I had actively was writing, or had 6 series actively going, and my head kind of just, like, I got a little freaked out that was in the process of continuing 6 series. That's when I started consolidating and closing lines and stuff, so I could focus more as opposed to bing bang boom bang. So
Yeah.
Is that when you
I'll
did
find-
Shrouded World to try to make it all fit together?
yeah. Speaking of, I did a YouTube video today with my new camera. So when you get off of this, you guys can go spend another 10 minutes with me. Fantastic.
Did you do the
Hey,
reading?
I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I did. Hold on, I did some reading of this.
The comic.
Oh.
Yeah. I even showed the pictures. I asked John first before I did it. He was cool with it.
Ooh,
That works.
nice.
Did you write
John
that
seems
with
like
John,
pretty
or?
laid back.
I know you
Well,
did Shrouded World, but the graphic novel.
the artist, God, this guy is freaking phenomenal. He did some great artwork. He actually did the panels. He pulled dialogue from the book.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't even know how to begin, writing stuff for like this. Like, I don't even do my own blurbs anymore, because I just, how do you condense a whole book into like 2 sentences, man? I can't. They all ended sounding the same. Like, Mike Talbot's in trouble, and how is he going to get out of this now? That, it's like, so my editor actually helped me on that.
Well, guys, I want to thank you all for coming on the Tim episode. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm hoping after this, it'll open up the eyes of some people, and they will listen to Tim, or they'll read Tim, because it's, like we said, it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. And it's a really good story. And if you like the Zombie Fallout series, it answers a lot of questions as to why the zombies are evolving. And, go and read 3.5, 3.2, however, I think it was 3.5.
3.5.
The Hugh Mann's in the Zombie Fallout series, because that's kind of Tim Zero, if you look at it in the chronological order of things, because you find out who Hugh is, and then in Tim 1 you find out Hugh. But wanted to ask you, no, wait, I already did, never mind, who Manny was. So no, my question was, Scarlett is telling a story and I'm going to go Wicked Shatner, Saturday Night Live, get a life moment here on this one. Scarlett is telling a story about how she met up with somebody. I've seen some crazy shit in this world, even some crazy alligator looking things. Was that a nod to a Genogerian?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I was right. Finally. And will we see Drababen again?
Oh, I hope.
That's hilarious. I was just writing about him today.
Is he in the fantasy novel?
Yes.
Can you tell us all about it?
No.
Now we're expecting
The
that.
more he talks about it, the less likely he's going to write about it.
Well, he's reading it every week, so it's kind of cool. You're expecting that to come out in the fall. You hoping for?
It should be completed, written by the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start the long, arduous process of editing and rereads and betas and re-editing. And God, I hate that part of it. But so it should be all done and sitting on Sean's desk. Let's see, March, April, May. He'll probably get it at the end of May. So then depending on his schedule, you're looking at least 3 months, June, July, August, September.
Mm-hmm. How long does it normally take Sean to do a book?
God, we used, man, before he got huge, he can thank me for that.
I can see that.
We used to just get him a book and then he could turn around pretty damn quick. It was usually only a few weeks. Now we're, we get a scheduled time with them, got to make sure like the date we give him is the date he gets that book and is on his desk. Otherwise you get shuffled back. But yeah, he's about 3 months out on any given title.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice
He should
to
be
get
the
him
priority.
on the show sometime, but he's so busy.
I think Sean hooks me up when he can, but sometimes, if he's in the middle of a project, he's in the middle of a project. I certainly don't want somebody else to get pushed aside.
Well, if you could put a little note inside the book when you send it to Sean to reply to my emails, I sent him a couple. I'd love to have him on the show because besides you, he's one of the most requested people to have on to interview, to talk to. So I've tried.
Dude,
I've gone through his website. I've emailed him a couple of times. There's a phone number on there. I'm like, I'm just gonna call him. It's probably a Bill Murray style voicemail thing that you leave a message and he gets back to you eventually. But would love to have him on. I'd love to talk to him. So I'm trying to get any channels I can to get a hold of him.
I sent him an email a couple weeks ago. Nothing.
All right, so he ignores you too. Good. I hope
yes,
so.
yes, you are not the only one. Which kind of bums me out. I mean, I don't know what's going on in his personal life. Might be a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But we were fairly tight. I mean, I actually I was going down to do a book reading, and he on his own dime came down from Jersey to Virginia to do it with me, So we talk all the time. We hung out, drank. I met him up in New York, so it's not like I don't have a relationship with the man. So I'm like, well, that sucks,
No, everybody's got stuff going on in their life. It could just be busy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Not everybody is as proficient and good as getting back to people as you are. That was commented that you're very good if somebody reaches out to you, that you're fairly decent for a quasi celebrity type to interact with your fans and get back to people. It's not just who the hell is this person,
Yeah.
Yeah. I will
Thanks,
admit
man.
that's one of the things that drew me in as well, is being able to interact with the author and talk, and then like I said, I got to meet you in Salem, and like I said, that was one of the most memorable family trips I've ever taken.
Yeah, Salem was a kick in the pants. I enjoyed that too, man.
Are we doing another meetup this summer?
Oh, Lordy. That involves leaving my house.
Did you ever get your driveway plowed?
I did. That was a heavy ass snow too, boy. Whew.
You got a lot of
I'm
snow
from
up
Michigan
there?
too, so I get that.
Yeah.
I was up in Auburn, Lewiston today again, and they got like 2 inches. That was it. The storm was weird the way it hit everybody.
Yeah, we ended up getting, I'd say 6 or 7.
It's not bad.
No, it certainly wasn't the nor'easter they had said. We didn't get buffeted with the winds and all that crap.
So we got nailed with rain, and then we got snow, and it was just heavy, thick, just muggy snow. And then we got wind as hell with a little bit of snow this morning. And then by this afternoon, it was all melted. So we got about 6 inches of snow, and then it was gone. It was like 50 today. So
Yeah, it's supposed to be 50 here tomorrow and downpouring all day.
yeah, it's just those March snowstorms in New England,
We just got black ice.
That was
Oh, sorry. I hate that.
Yeah. Everybody was wrecking.
it. Tom, never asked you, what neck of the woods are you in?
Virginia. One of the things that brought me in was with Mark. I was born in Massachusetts. My wife was born in another part of Massachusetts, so just outside of Boston, Malden and North Attleboro. But
I'm very sorry.
No, I know both those places.
Yeah, my brother lives in Malden.
Well,
So
Oh, really?
Okay.
yeah,
well, No
Yep.
kidding. Well,
Yep.
shoot, I grew up there,
It looks a lot
but I
different
don't have
now.
the cool accent anymore. Oh, I know.
Have you been back?
Yeah, it's been a few years now, but we lived in Florida for the last 15 years, and I went from Massachusetts to Virginia, went to college in Virginia, down to Florida, and just came back about 6 months ago. So I do not, I don't miss 105 degrees and humid, but I don't miss black ice and having to have my driveway plowed either.
Yeah, I've been down to Virginia a couple times, 3 times the last couple of years, man. You can take that humidity though. I don't want any part of that.
What part do you go to?
Newport News ish area, Hamden.
Yeah, down near the beach.
I don't know. We didn't go to the beach. I
Yeah,
went
it's
down
got-
because
Mark
We were
puts on his
working on-
Speedo and works on his tan.
we went down. We're working on that guy right there. So
What happened to his
There's a-
head?
I'm working on the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get some putting some electronics in there and stuff.
Is the head gonna fully move and like the little
Yeah, he's gonna
LED
light
screen,
up.
everything's gonna light up?
Yeah, gonna light up. He's got sounds. He's got hollow projectors. He's got giant motors in the wheels and stuff. So he'll be doing pretty much everything the dude in the movies does.
How long have you been working on that now?
Too friggin' long. I started buying parts probably about 10 years ago. I really started putting it together though about 3 years now. And just, the parts are tough to get. There's zero directions, so you're just kind of on your own.
Is there a
But,
supply chain shortage for R2D2 parts too?
Well, you can't actually get a kit because Disney's like, nope. But there's a builders club, astromech.net, and like different dudes make different parts. And so you got to kind of figure out which parts do I need, what parts go together, what do I want it to do, and then how much money do I have to blow, So
Kind of like with Tim, he missed his old parts, so he tried to sew them on,
yeah,
and they fell off.
you can't blame them. I
No,
mean,
not at all. So is
I just
C3PO or
bought
BB-8
Tim-
next?
BB-8. Actually, I want to do B2 emo. I'll show you.
This
that what you
isn't
showed
that
me
the
last week?
orangish, like with the square. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
The Roomba, whatever.
And it's in its original packaging.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't normally. He is because I'll sit there and like, hey, I'm gonna play with it. Yeah,
Can you imagine if we saved all of our original Star Wars shit from back in the 70s?
We wouldn't be doing podcasts. We'd be on our
rich.
ships we'd be on our yachts in the Maldives.
Oh, God. So
I got a horror story for you. My brother, not me, but my brother used to collect baseball cards. So you're talking cards from the 50s.
mhm.
Yeah, before they got blew up and they made bazillions of them. My mother tossed them.
Ooh,
You're probably talking some of those cards you could buy a house with.
Mickey
I
Mantle
can't
rookie
even-
card.
I can't even imagine the money just went whoop.
Oh,
My mom did that with my dad's Playboys.
Oh,
He had all of them from the very first one.
oh.
that's what he got for pissing her off. I'm sure that's what happened.
You're going out drinking one night? I'm tossing all your Playboys.
Yeah, that hurts.
I mean, I never read Playboy, but some of those episodes were collector's items, especially some of the covers.
I'm
Mhm.
sure
Damn.
Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
He
So-
had them. He had them all.
All right. So final thoughts. Tom, we'll start with you. Anything. Doesn't have to be about Tim. It can be about anything.
Oh, you put the guy on the spot, man.
I did. All right. Jenny,
No,
we'll start
man,
with you. Tom's just been
Final
quiet
thought.
the whole show, so I think he's just been.
No,
I'm hoping he's just enjoying it, and we're cutting him off because we don't shut the hell up.
no. This has been really great. The opportunity to meet Mark was fantastic. I enjoyed the hell out of sitting on the panel and just just kicking it around. Honestly, I'm grateful for your contributions to the literary world, Mark. I really have spent several hours enjoying the shit out of your content. Not Tim specific. I'm really curious to see what you put out next, and as soon as you announce it, Audible sends me a notification to pre-order your stuff. And I just ordered 3.5, the side story I didn't know about. So hopefully that gives you some more discretionary income to buy some shit for your R2D2.
No, I got to kick back some to Jeff now because he mentioned it.
There you go.
Jeff gets kicked back.
Mark's gonna work on his dinosaur porn fantasy novels next.
Wait, what now?
If you didn't listen to episode 3, go back and listen to that one. No.
It's a real thing. I don't know why it is, but it is.
Oh, I looked it up.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of free audiobook websites, and authors contact me to beta listen or do reviews for their books, and I've had a few. Yeah, I won't go there.
I'm gonna have that woman on. It's gonna be a bonus episode.
Again.
Yeah. So, and I will say, Tom, I have that same grandfather clock you have behind you. It's in my living room.
Is it a grandmother or a grandfather?
Looks like
a grandma. It's small.
Yes.
It's funny. I think I've got that same one too down in my basement.
When my grandfather retired in the 70s, my father and his brothers and sisters bought that for him as in like assemble at home on your own.
It's the same one. Yeah.
Yep. Seemed to be a popular thing back in the 70s. Yeah. And it kind of sat in her house until she passed, and everyone put dibs on what they wanted. And I said, "Well, I want the clock."
Yeah, that's what happened.
Honest.
Yeah, that's what happened with mine. My dad built it, and because my dad had OCD, he had to build it in like 4 hours. He couldn't sit on it. And then when he passed, it was sitting in his house for a while. And my brother was like, "Do you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it.
Hell yeah,
take it."
Nice.
That's funny.
Jenny, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Tim, I loved it. I think it ended great the way it was. If he brought more, awesome, but I think it was a good ending.
Thank you.
But I still want more Indian Hill.
I know.
Yes, it was a good ending. I'm not saying it wasn't, but you can do it again. You can end it again. I know you.
I'm gonna make if I do Indian Hill 8, I'm gonna make everyone sign a waiver that they can't say that it wasn't better than 7. Or
I'll sign it. I need more Trip. I
just want more debate on and Mike with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Nick, you're up. I know you got something to say.
I've been saying it, Indian Hill 8. And, like I said, it's been my favorite series since I got into it. I enjoyed it. And if you haven't checked out Mark's Bookshed, any of them, do it. Tim is twisted, but again, if you can do Hostel, you can do Saw, you can do any of that stuff. It's not as bad as people say it is in the comments. If you like toilet humor and you like violence, in sarcasm, I mean, my favorite quote, actually, I think it's from Demon Fallout, but it's "sweet fuck-filled cupcakes." I think it's from Demon Fallout, but it came from Tim. And again, it's been one of my favorite quotes, right up there with "some assholes look at my people." So if you like that stuff, you got to check out the Timothy series.
Maybe I should get some stickers of that one. I did all right with the
agree.
The people shirts went well.
Cupcakes. I've actually adopted that into my vocabulary. And when I'm shocked around my family, my wife was like, "Yeah, you've read Mark too much." And I said, "And?"
There's no such thing.
Exactly.
There is never too much Tufo.
Tell my wife that.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Except for if you ask Tracy.
There's too much Tufo here. That would be her.
Hey, you know what? She's an awesome lady too. So
yeah, I like it.
It was very cool meeting Tracy at the casino last year. So
yeah, got to go outside with her and chat for a while. She was really nice.
I agree. Although she does run away when you try getting a picture of her, but hey, you know what? It was nice meeting
Yeah, she's not too camera shy.
her. Just a little bit.
So. All right, guys. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mark, for jumping in. I'm sure this is a big treat for all of us to kind of get,
Yes.
I know Tim
Definitely.
is the one book that you were you said you wrote it on a dare. So I was hoping you were going to chime in and discuss it with us. So you did not disappoint. And in
I almost
typical
messed
Tufo
up, man.
fashion, you showed up 45 minutes late. So that was good.
I dare you to write it in Bill 8.
No, I didn't want the whole thing to be about me. If I came on, you guys, I figured you guys wanted to be on and discuss, so I didn't know I was on the clock at 9.
It's always
Not
all
at all.
about you.
Not at
It's
all.
about
Not at
you.
I'm gonna say, I believe this whole podcast is because of you. So
all. Yeah, it's all your fault, dude. So
Yeah.
Get on here and own it.
there you go.
Oh,
All right, everybody, go by Tim. Check out Hugh Mann's Zombie Fallout 3.5. Thank you all for being on here today. Thank you to Tom. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to Jenny again. And thank you to Tripp's doppelganger, Mr. Mark Tufo, for writing stories that we all know and love and give us so much joy and pleasure. Thank you all very much. Everybody stay safe and have a good night.
peace.
Oh, and go check
Yeah,
out
y'all.
Wednesdays with Weed or whatever Mark's calling Wednesday, because he didn't do it. He didn't do Mondays with Mark or Tuesdays with Tufo. So he did something going on. But go check out Mark's YouTube page. It is now back up and available. What's the YouTube page, Mark?
Uh,
Or is it just Mark Tufo?
I think it's just Mark Tufo.
Link
Yeah,
in
you just type-
comments.
What is it? All right. All right. All right, guys. Thank you all very
Tufo
much.
Author.
Mark Tufo. Yeah. Do a plug of
Yeah.
Mark Tufo, the author.
There it is. Yeah.
Yep, Mark Tufo author.
All right.
Back after being banned, baby.
Did you ever find out why you were banned?
Back after being
I
banned.
I think I filled out a form incorrect. I filled out a DMCA notice. I think I transposed a number on my address, and a bot said, "See ya."
Nobody
Yeah.
lives that far up in Maine. That's what they thought.
That place exists.
Yeah. It's not a real person. So, all right, everybody. Thank you all very much.
Yep. Have a good night.
Peace.
Good night.